The Heart of It.
Roy West kicking in towards the centre.
A distinctly Tasmanian conversation.
I can feel what it will be like when Tassie plays his first game, and I just...
Lynch gathers, he's got loose men everywhere, but he decides to have a pump shot, and it's an absolute ripper! 200 goals for Peter Hudson. What a fantastic effort.
How did he do that? Bear kick finishes off in style.
Up towards half forward, Stewart flying over the top. Oh, pulled in a beautiful mark.
Well done from Scott. After Wilson, he's got the first goal. Has it done?
Nichols has had the big ruck with it. Oh! Crosswell!
Hello and welcome to The Heart of It. I'm Alistair Nicholson. My guest today is a classic country boy who loves nothing more than the bush, a campfire and a fishing rod. Jimmy Webster grew up on a property at Mangalore and led the typical farm boy life, one full of freedoms, mischief and mateship. Football was central to it all. Goalposts in the paddock and many an hour spent at the Mount Pleasant Football Club, complete with its welcoming open fire in the change rooms. Jimmy retired at the end of the 2025 AFL season after 180 games for St Kilda. We caught up mid-year at Moorabbin when he was still playing at the Saints. In this episode, you'll hear about his love for the quiet country life, his experiences coming through junior football in Tasmania, the challenges of adjusting to the bright lights of Melbourne, and the traumatic house fire the week prior to his AFL debut that left his family with nothing. The story of Jimmy Webster.
Gets the handball across to Webster from 50. They need this, and Webster delivers. Big goal for the Saints.
Jimmy Webster, thanks for having a chat, mate.
No worries.
Want to really dig into where you grew up in Tassie and the types of things you used to get up to as a young fella. Firstly, tell us what part of Tasmania you're from.
Yeah, so just out of Hobart, lived at a little place called Mangalore. So I had all my childhood pretty much there until I got drafted, and then mum and dad ended up moving to Brighton, which is only 5 minutes down the road. But yeah, unfortunately the house at Mangalore caught fire and pretty much burned everything. So it was a pretty full-on time for the family. But yeah, grew up in Mangalore, which I absolutely loved. You know, it wasn't very big, so everyone sort of knew everyone, and yeah, got a couple of brothers and 3 sisters, so a big family, and we had some pretty good times there.
So the family, were you home when the fire went through? What happened?
I was actually emergency, so I was over here. I was emergency, and then the boys ran out, and then yeah, got a phone call. Actually, Tony Brown come in and said he'd had a phone call from mum and dad and said that the house had caught fire. So it was pretty full on, you know, especially being over here and you know, being a Tassie boy, I was pretty upset and stuff. But yeah, the club sent me straight home, and yeah, basically electric blanket got caught fire out the back of the house and pretty much ripped through the house. So we had basically nothing left. And then yeah, so I went home for a few days, and then I ended up playing. I debuted the week after. So
oh wow!
Pretty lucky there, and so it was obviously hectic time for the family, and then yeah, probably one of the best moments of my life where I got to debut and have mum and dad over and see them smile, and after what we'd been through the week before was something that was really special.
That's full on. So talk me through the setup at home when you're growing up. What's it like? I mean, Mangalore country, you got space and freedoms and all that sort of stuff? Yeah,
we did. So we only had, it was probably an acre or a couple of acres, so not too much, but there's a lot of farms and stuff around Mangalore, a few houses, but not too many. So lots of paddocks and that for us kids to play, and we knew everyone there as well. So was really lucky to be able to jump the back fence and go and play footy, and having a couple of brothers too, which obviously helped. We had brothers 2 years younger, so he was right into footy, and then I had a couple of cousins up the road that we'd normally go out the back, and it was 2v2 in the paddock, so it ended up we'd only get to about half time before we'd start fighting. But it was obviously amazing time. Big family. We had lots of fun times there, and it was pretty crowded because there was six kids, so it was pretty full on.
Talk me through your paddock footy setup? Because you drive across Tassie and you see the goalposts in the paddocks around the farms and that type of thing. What was your setup?
Yeah, no, ours was pretty simple at the start. We used to take the push the mower out the back and just do a bit of a pitch where we could play. It was only a small sort of ground, but it started with just some big rocks as the goalposts, and then as we got going a bit more, it was just like the PVC pipe that we'd have as the goalpost, and then had a couple of cousins that lived up the road, so it would normally be me and one of the cousins, and then my brother and the other cousin, and then we'd just go for it.
And you say it used to descend into chaos.
You'd normally get to about half time, and when things started to get a little bit heated, and fight and wrestle out the back, and then they'd go home, we'd go home, and that was the end of it.
Who did you barrack for as a kid? You obviously loved playing footy. Did you follow it closely?
Yeah, I did. Mad footy supporter growing up. I was North Melbourne. Dad was mad North Melbourne supporter, and played just local footy down there, and coached a few different teams down there. So I was mad North Melbourne just because of Dad.
Yeah, what were the teams your dad was involved in?
Dad played. He's sort of when he was younger. He was at North Hobart. When he was sort of in his prime, but then he played like a lot of local footy. Coached Brighton for a little bit, and then he went more country and went to like Mount Pleasant and Oatlands and a few of them, which is I absolutely love going back there and watching that that league. And my brother's actually coach at Mount Pleasant now, so
nice.
Pretty special to go back there.
Yeah,
and
it's
watch them.
Pretty cool comp, the ODFA, isn't it?
Yeah,
when
it
you've
is.
just got these small country towns that you wouldn't expect to still have a footy team. What do you reckon they do?
I don't know what it is. I think I just love all the farmers and that they all get involved and they're so passionate. In them little country towns, but like you said, you're just driving on dirt roads out in the middle of nowhere, and then you come across a footy oval, and that's where they play.
The grounds are very different to. We're here at Moorabbin at the moment having a chat. Very different to the environment you're in.
Yeah, no, it is definitely different. You got to be careful out in them ovals because you get the rabbit holes and the sheep poo from when they have the sheep on there and all that sort of stuff. But it's something I absolutely love. If I get the chance to go back to home, I normally go out and watch one of them local footy games. There's just something about going back and watching them games and seeing all the farmers and everyone down there. It's something I love. And
did your dad just have you guys in tow all the time when he was playing footy on the weekend? You guys are in the rooms and running around and all of that?
Yeah, pretty much every weekend. We'd jump on board with Dad and go and whether he was coaching or playing. But then probably really lucky to have Dad had a lot of close friends. Up on the farms and all that sort of stuff. So they all had kids in that too. So Dad would do his thing, and we were lucky enough to just go and play with their kids, and we used to absolutely love it. Dad, he got to coach some really good players, and something I really cherish growing up was watching Dad run out and coach these players, and something that's really special.
Do you remember much about the environment, the smells, the setup? I mean, it'd be the whole utes backed up to the fence sort of scenario, wouldn't it? It was just the smell of deep heat was the one that sticks out. Even in the Mount, when Dad coached Mount Pleasant, they go in there, change rooms. They've actually got an open fire in there. So it just brings back like so many memories. And even now, having my brother coach Mount Pleasant, every chance I get, I go home. I normally go out and watch one of those games, and just the smell of deep heat and the fire is something I absolutely love. So when you weren't in the paddock kicking the footy, what were you doing as a young boy in Mangalore?
I tried to stay out of a little bit of trouble as much as I could, but it's probably I'm really into my hunting and fishing. Dad's not so much into hunting, but he loves his fishing. He's always had boats, and to go out fishing, a bit of diving and all that sort of stuff. I absolutely love the outdoors. From a young age, really lucky that Dad had a boat, and his brothers and that are all sort of into that as well. And then
so would you go lakes or ocean?
More ocean with Dad. Dad hasn't got the patience for the lakes, but then really lucky to have some of Dad's good friends have farms and stuff that have big lakes on them, and to do a bit of trout fishing and that as well is something I really love.
Yeah, same. Great down there, isn't it?
It is good.
I would imagine you could drive a manual car pretty young. You're out on the farm with your firearms pretty young, that sort of setup. Can you talk me through that scenario?
From a young, I don't know, probably 13, 14, I was pretty comfortable driving a car, which was good because we were on the farm. Well, Mum and Dad would always say she'd love us kids going. She'd rather us go to the farms with the firearms and or out fishing and driving utes and that, as long as we're careful, rather than going to parties and all that. So yeah, from a young age we were driving utes and had the guns and all that sort of stuff in the car. But obviously very careful with what we did. But yeah, it was pretty cool growing up on farms and to be able to do that sort of stuff.
You said awesome. You tried to stay out of mischief. Any examples where you weren't quite able to stay out of it?
I wasn't a very good kid. I wasn't very good at school, unfortunately. But I've had a few. Dad was coaching one day. I've told this story to a few of the boys. Dad was coaching one day, and he said he parked the cars behind the goals, and he said, I went and said to him, "Can I grab the keys so I can listen to music?" I had a couple of mates with me, and he's like, "Yeah, no worries." And then every time, whatever way Dad was going, I'd get the car and just drive it around the other end of the oval. And then on the way back, I was with a couple of mates, and there's a big sort of grass area over there on the back oval, and a few of the mates were like, "Oh, let's go for a quick drive down there." So I ended up going down there and doing a couple of donuts and some fishtails, and then went and parked back up. And then yeah, someone seen me do it, so Dad wasn't very happy about that.
So when do you start to, obviously your first games of footy as a young kid, where are they? Do you have to go up to Brighton to play your footy early on?
Yep. So played pretty much all my junior footy at Brighton. Played all my junior footy at Brighton. I was about 15, I think. I played my first senior game at Brighton and got absolutely belted. And then we played Lindisfarne, and I absolutely copped it. And then the year after, sort of footy was starting to get a bit more serious. So I ended up moving to Glenorchy and started playing senior footy there. And then was lucky enough to play in the under-18s, Tassie under-18s, and then got picked up after that.
Yeah. What? Who do you remember in? Let's start with the SFL at the time. Who were the SFL. Sort of the most notable players you were playing with and against?
My first, Alex Gilmore. He was at Richmond for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. So he was at Brighton when I first got there, and I'm still pretty close with Gilmore. So that was pretty cool to have him. I sort of idolised him coming back from the AFL and then playing at Brighton. That was pretty cool. Guys like Sean Salter in their prime were good players. And then once I got to Glenorchy, they had a lot of good players. Jay Bowden's probably the one that stands out. A lot of senior footy. Was an absolute star.
Yeah.
But yeah, was really lucky to play with some unbelievable players.
Jay's the one they often talk about, or most people talk about, from that sort of modern, your generation of players, is probably the closest and good enough that didn't quite come over and play on the mainland.
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one because he used to absolutely dominate games and he sort of had everything. But I don't know. It's a weird one. You still scratch your head about why or how he didn't get picked up. But he was so good in that comp. He was every week he was unbelievable.
So your dad was definitely one. Who else would you say were your influences in football that helped you get to where you got to?
Dad was probably the main one. But even just like, Dad was probably the biggest one. But even Gilmore coming back, from the AFL system and then learning some stuff off him, was someone that sort of helped me, especially when I was real young, coming to play senior footy.
Yeah.
Gilmore was really good, and then my coach at Glenorchy, Byron Howard, coached me growing up there, and then Tassie under-18s was like Matty Armstrong, Nick Probert. I did some stuff with them. I've had a few, but Dad was probably the main one that I really appreciate, and still to this day, he brings me after most games and gives me a bit of feedback on how I'm going and stuff like that. So that's always good. And he sort of understands. I've been around a fair while now, so he sort of understands when to give me a call and when to leave me alone as well. So it's good. Whereas Mum probably doesn't understand as much. She will just, after every game, whether she watches or not, she'll say, message me and say, "Good game, mate," or even if I haven't been great. So
Yeah.
it's good to it's awesome to have the support from mum and dad, and
Mums are great like that, aren't they?
Yeah, no. It's
So when
good.
you're playing in the Tassie State League, it's only been up and running again for a couple of seasons. What do you remember about the standard of the competition and, you know, travelling around the state playing footy?
Yeah. No, it was full on because you have to travel sort of everywhere. Everyone would jump on the bus and sort of go everywhere. So it was, overall the league was actually pretty good. There's a lot of good players playing in that league. But yeah, it was, kind of, I don't know, I feel like it sort of lost its way a little bit. And then has only sort of just, jumped back on board with how everything's going. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it sort of went off the rails a little bit for a while, and everyone. I feel like all the good players ended up just going to play, more local, rather than staying in that state league. But hopefully, with the AFL, the Tassie team coming in, a bit more money and support for the bigger clubs and them guys, and I don't know, I feel like it will just start to get better and better.
Yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit more. So you play for Tassie in the under-18s. When do you start to feel like, gee, I might actually be a chance of playing this game at the highest level?
Yeah, I was never really like overly confident. I spoke to a fair few clubs, but it's sort of hard because you just never know. I feel with Jay Bowden, you just always had that doubt, like you never actually know if you're going to get picked up. Even though I spoke to probably most clubs, but you just never really know. And then, so even on draft, on the draft night, I still was like, I'm not too sure. And then, lucky enough, Saints called me out. Looking back now, was probably, I probably spoke to Saints the most, but you never really have much of an idea.
Yeah.
And then, it was lucky enough to get called out to the Saints, which was amazing.
Don't know what's going.
There's some going on outside there
today, but that was good timing. As much cheering like when your name got called out in the draft. So, what's that like then? Because you go from the typical country boy who loves his fishing and hunting and footy, and you're at Mangalore, and then all of a sudden you're living in Melbourne, and that I'd imagine is quite an adjustment given your upbringing.
Yeah, no, it was a big jump for me. Fresh sort of 18-year-old kid coming from the country, and then moving to Melbourne was a massive jump, but really lucky. Like I got to come over, and I ended up living with Clint Jones for a few months, and then I moved in with a couple of the other guys who were second and third year players. So it was a massive jump for me. Country kid, only see 3 or 4 cars go past home, and then get to Melbourne and just how busy and full on it is. So I probably struggled a little bit early days. Being away from Tassie and the country was probably the biggest thing, because I love the outdoors and the fishing and hunting, whereas I couldn't really do too much of that over here. But I every chance I got, I'd normally head back to Tassie straight away and get out in the bush, and I still do it now.
Yeah. What do you think the bush environment gives you? Why is it so special to you?
I think just because, just the pressures of AFL and, I don't know, just how busy everything is just, Melbourne is just so full on. So when I get to go, out the bush or, hunting, I'm sort of just in the moment, can light a fire and even just sitting by the fire and, watching the fire, having a beer. And I normally do it, with the brothers or, a couple of mates. There's, I don't know, I think you just forget about everything, and you just, right in that moment. And I just feel like there's nothing better than, sitting out in the bush having a beer with your mates and just, having a bit of a chat, or same thing fishing. Same thing with Dad, just go out in the boat, you just forget about everything and just sort of living in that moment. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, can relate to that definitely. Yeah. So you make your AFL debut against Carlton in 2013.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from those grounds around Mangalore and the ODFA.
Yeah,
what
no,
was
it is.
Like?
Yeah, no, it was very special. I touched earlier on the family home burning down in, not burning down, but pretty much burnt everything inside it. The week before, and then obviously pretty average time for the family, and then the next week was lucky enough to debut, so to have Mum and Dad come over, and obviously such a difficult time, to have them come over and see them smile, and how much joy it brought to them was something really special. Debuted, on the Monday night against Colton and got the win. I think it ended up being a pretty close game, so we got the win, and just to everything your mum and dad and even your brothers and sisters do for you growing up, to see how much joy that brings them was something that I'll cherish forever.
Yeah. What's it like playing? Is it a blur playing your first game? What's it like being out on the field, particularly when you've played in front of relatively small crowds when you're playing at Brighton, for example?
No, it was. It was actually pretty daunting because I was the sub, so I was waiting to come on. So I was, I still get a little bit nervous before games. So, to be sitting there not knowing when you're going to come on was obviously pretty scary. And then, to have, big crowds and stuff like that was, obviously pretty scary and a lot different to what it was in Tassie. But, sort of just, soak that moment in and really just go out and play. And, something I absolutely loved.
Who gave you your jumper?
Who did give me my jumper? It might have been Geary, I think. Jaron Geary. I built, pretty good connection with Gears over the last few years when he was here, and Gears presented my jumper, which was something that was really special. And then Scotty Waters was the coach at the time, and took me out before the game and sort of just said, "Soak it all in. You'll remember this forever." And that's what I did.
Yeah, I might touch on Scotty Waters in a moment because that was a really interesting time, I suppose, for you, and he himself didn't even really know what was going on when he left the club. What struck you about the AFL environment when you first came across to St Kilda?
Oh, just how intense, like being a country kid, you go and play footy and then, it's pretty chilled, but just how intense and how full on, AFL and the environment is. And then probably not so much when I was younger, but now just the pressures of, playing and backing it up each week. It's pretty full on your body, and even just like mentally, it's so demanding each week to back it up is pretty full on. Coming from Mangalore with you go and play footy, and then that was pretty much it. To then come over and just see how full on it is over here, it's a massive jump.
Yeah, you said you still get pretty nervous before games. So how does that manifest? How do you feel in the lead up to games, and when does it hit you, and what are the effects?
It's probably the drive in. Once I sort of run out on the ground, I'm normally pretty good, but it's just the drive in, and I've never really felt comfortable playing AFL. I've never. I don't know if it's a good thing, but never really thought I was good enough. No, I think I'm good enough, but not. I don't even know how to explain it. But just always on edge about playing my role, and
so not taking anything for granted.
Yeah, not taking anything for granted, and I don't know. Just as I've gotten older, you're not sure when it's going to end, sort of thing. So just really appreciating, getting to run out every week on AFL in front of such big crowds and stuff like that is something I probably appreciate more now I'm getting a bit older.
Yeah. And I can understand why you would feel anxiety and pressure when you're playing in defence and you've got to do shutdown jobs on different players. Who are some of the most challenging players that you've had to try and nullify in your career so far?
Yeah, there's been lots. Cyril Rioli was probably one early days that was probably one of the scariest ones to play on. Robbie Gray, I had a couple of times I played on Robbie Gray, who was an absolute star. But these days it's, nearly all small forwards are good these days. But like Papali and Charlie Cameron, I had some good tussles with him. But like I said, there's all small forwards these days are bloody hard to play on.
Yeah. What's your approach then? There's such dynamic players, and in the back of your mind that they can turn a match their team's way in the blink of an eye. Yeah, no, they can. I don't know what it is. It's just each player's got something different that you try and sort of work. We sit down and do a lot of vision, before a game, and work out what their strengths and what their ways you might be able to nullify them a little bit. So we got obviously really good coaches to be able to help, with that sort of stuff. But like you said, they can turn it on pretty quick. So it's quite daunting at times, but I don't know. Every game's different. Every player's different. And the first time you had to play on Cyril, that would have been relatively early in your career.
I think he kicked a few goals on me early days. But Yeah, it was just like, it was actually quite cool to play on him. My brother got drafted to Hawthorn, so I'd met him a couple of times, but then to run out and actually play on him was actually pretty special. But yeah, he was so good in the air. He could sit on your head, and then as soon as the ball hit the ground, he was unbelievable as well. So yeah, players like that, they can mark it in the air, or really good on ground, are quite hard to play on.
In the top of your mind, if you reflect, is there what performance or job's given you the most satisfaction in your career? Has there been a time where you thought, gee, I got on top of one of the best players there?
I've had some good tussles with Charlie Cameron, who's an absolute ripper. I've had a couple of games where I think I've had one game where I kept him to none, but then it's turned pretty quick. He's had some games where he's kicked 3 or 4 on me as well. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because these days it's more team defence rather than sort of that one-on-one. So it's changed a little bit, but which is a good thing, I think.
If there's one moment you could give back or get back in your footy career so far, is there anything that springs to mind?
As in something I regret?
Yeah, or just something where it didn't go the way you wanted it to?
I mean, last year was obviously not ideal for me with the bump on Simpkin. That was something that I really regret, and it was obviously a split-second decision that I got really wrong. So yeah, clearly if I could take that back, I would take that back.
Yeah.
I understand how, I've been around a long time. I understand how important head knocks and stuff are. So it was a real shitty time in my career, to be honest. So if I could take that back, I definitely would.
Do you, being a country boy and liking to get away from the noise of it all, are you someone who engages in the conversation around football a lot? Do you read about football or hear it? I suppose it was unavoidable, the reaction when that incident occurred. Yeah,
I'm actually pretty lucky. I have Instagram and stuff like that, but I don't really read papers. I'm kind of pretty lucky. I don't sort of read into any of that sort of stuff. I don't really care, what people are saying about me, whether it's good or bad. So in a way, I'm probably pretty lucky because some people can get caught up in that sort of stuff. Obviously, that week was a pretty full-on week, but I had awesome support here, and rang Jai and spoke to him and Clarko and stuff like that, which probably made me feel a little bit more comfortable as well. But yeah, it was I'm pretty lucky. I don't really sort of read into too much.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good thing.
So you're now, you're a very experienced player. As we chat, you've played 175 games. You've been in the system since 2011. So what are the key things you've learnt, do you think, and how has the game sort of changed in that time you've been in the system for over a decade?
Yeah. I've learned a lot. I feel like footy's changed sort of a fair bit. I spoke about the team defence sort of stuff. It was early days. It was probably it was a bit more one-on-one and stuff like that. But what have I learned? There's been so many ups and downs through my career. But probably the biggest thing I've learned, the last sort of few years, just with Ross coming in and some of his stuff, I've absolutely loved. He's all about effort and playing a role, whereas I feel like before that it was more about kicks, handballs, marks. Which, I don't know. I just, I absolutely love Ross. He's honest, and you know exactly where you sit with him. And I sort of understand I'm not the best player in the world, but I'm playing because I play my role, and that's something I really appreciate with Ross.
So, the general public probably doesn't see the Ross that you see.
Yeah.
How would you characterise the Ross that walks these halls? Walks out on that ground at training.
It depends on what day. I don't know. It depends on what day you get him. They call him Cuddly Ross these days. So I think early days he was, he's probably a bit more fired up and stuff. But he's a bit more of the Cuddly Ross. Sometimes not so much cuddly, but he's been amazing, to be honest. I absolutely love the way he goes about it.
What are the strengths? What are his key strengths?
The biggest one
to get the best out of players.
The biggest one for me is just how honest he is. You just know exactly where you sit. I just feel like there's no bullshit with him. He's so honest, and that's something I probably appreciate the most.
with Ross, whether you like it or not. He just tells you exactly how it is. So that's something I absolutely love. And then just how much he supports you away from footy as well is something else I love. So yeah, he's big on doing stuff away from footy to for life after footy, and that's something I really appreciated with him.
What are you doing in that space?
I'm doing my carpentry course. So we're lucky enough. There's a few boys doing that. So keen to get into. All through COVID, I work with a mate who's a builder, and I absolutely love that. So that sort of got me into it, and then doing my carpentry course, which has been pretty cool.
Any plans to build any shacks in Tassie or anything like that at some point?
Maybe. I'm lucky enough I've got a house down there in Tassie, so I might build a bit of a man cave out the back at some stage. But something I definitely post footy will definitely get into.
Yeah. You mentioned the Scott Waters situation. Is that sort of the most upheaval or sort of the most unsettling period that you've had to endure in your career?
Yeah, no, it was kind of weird because I got drafted, and then at the time there was no one. Ross had just left, so there was no real coach when I first got drafted. So it was a little bit of a weird start. But then Scotty come in for 2 years. I think was it 2 years? 2 years, and then it was kind of it was a bit weird, to be honest. Like I didn't really know what was going on, but I sort of had no idea either because I was so young and didn't really understand the footy world and what it was like.
So is he literally here 1 minute, gone the next?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he was in, and then all of a sudden he was gone. So it was kind of it was real weird. But then Richo come in, and I had a real good relationship with Richo. I think I would have had Richo for about 8 years. He's a bit of a country boy too. So Richo was. I still talk to Richo, and I was pretty close with him when he was coaching.
Yeah, and then a period with Ratton, and then
Rat's come in. Yeah, Rat's come in for a few years, and then so I've had a few coaches. Rat's come in, and then Ross took over after that. So it's been full on.
You mentioned Zach went to Hawthorn. Obviously, pretty close with your brother. What was it like watching his journey play out? Obviously, more short-lived than yours in the AFL, but got his chance at the highest level. Yeah,
he did. Yeah, so he got rookied to Hawthorn, and then I think he got a 2-year deal after that, and then was spat out after that. He had a lot of injuries. Hawthorn were obviously flying at the time. He was a small forward, so I think he was emergency one game and then done his quad in the warm-up. So lots of soft tissue injuries. So he didn't really get a crack. And then, like I said, they had. That was when they were in the absolute prime, so he didn't really get much of a chance. But guys like Cyril and Bruce and these guys, he probably wasn't going to get a chance. Really close with him. He's back in Tassie now. Just gone out his own plumbing, so he's enjoying it down there. And love going down and catching up with him. And like I said earlier, he's coaching Mount Pleasant, so it's good to go and see him.
Yeah. When you were coming through the system in the underage ranks in Tassie, there was always, if you were going to play AFL football, there was always the understanding that you were going to have to leave the state, and we've seen many players even leave Tassie and go and play in the SANFL or the Waffle as well. What do you think the 19th licence and the Tassie Devils will do for footy in Tasmania?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be amazing for the state. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of players in that will actually love Tassie. You always hear of people, they sort of bag Tassie out, but then as soon as they go down there, they realise how good it is. It's obviously a special place. I feel like it's going to be amazing for the state, and then even just with the youth, and especially having a couple of kids now. I feel like the development of young players, and it'll probably actually get guys staying in Tassie and playing at the best level there, knowing that they've got more of a chance to get picked up once Tassie comes in. I think it's going to be amazing.
And you would see it here at Moorabbin, and the connection to community and the Danny Frawley Centre and all of those additional things that come with a footy club. And I guess people in Tasmania have never really seen that before, what that can look like for a community, and in Tassie's case, an entire state. How significant do you think that is?
Yeah, no, I think, like I said before, I feel like Tassie, being a proud Tasmanian, I feel like everyone will just jump on board. It's going to be awesome for so many people, and the people coming through, especially young kids and stuff. I feel like they'll all jump on board and just get right behind it. And once the stadium's up and going, it's just going to be amazing.
Well, it's something you would have, if you were a kid, I mean, you were a North Melbourne supporter, but do you think you would have barracked for Tasmania if there was a team when you were young?
100%, yeah, 100%, being a Tassie boy. Obviously it would have been awesome going back a while ago now, but I feel like, with kids coming through now, I feel like it'll be even better, with coming up and knowing that there's a Tassie team that you can potentially stay home and play footy there. I feel like it'll be unbelievable.
What do you reckon growing up in Tasmania gave you, and how did it help shape the person you've become, do you reckon?
Yeah. Growing up here, probably just appreciating the little things, just like the little things in life, especially being around farms and stuff like that. They just, the smallest thing, always, willing to help other people, and, I still remember, like, or even these days, it's like, my mate will go out diving, he'll drive up and give me a crayfish, and just like small things like that. That is something I really appreciate, and something I've probably grown up to do is just to help others, and every off season, not so much now I've got kids, but every off season I go back and help my mate on the farm with his land marking and go around and do a bit of fencing and all that sort of stuff. So just helping others and just being there for others is something I really. It's probably something the biggest thing I'll take out of Tassie.
Great chatting to you. In closing, if you had to tell one of your teammates where they should go in Tassie if they were going on a trip, or one of their family members, or you had a tourist coming out from overseas to visit, where would you say they had to go in Tasmania, and what do they have to experience?
I'd be sending them to Coles Bay, because you can do a bit of a hike, an awesome hike up there, and then they do, you can go for a dive. Maybe a dive or something like that. Scallops, crayfish. Cook it up on the beach. It'd be pretty special.
That'd be epic. Great chatting to you, Jimmy. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
Jimmy Webster. Having now retired from the AFL, the quiet country life beckons again. Through 14 seasons at the highest level, Webster was much loved at St Kilda. In a statement released at the time of his retirement, the Saints head of football, David Misson, had this to say about Jimmy's contribution. Jimmy has been an outstanding servant of the St Kilda Football Club. He embodies everything we want in a Saint: resilience, selflessness, and an unwavering commitment to his teammates. He has faced adversity with courage, and he's always put the team ahead of himself. As you've just heard, those qualities clearly stemmed from his Tasmanian upbringing. Thanks for listening to Jimmy's story. For more episodes of The Heart of It, make sure you download or subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your pods. I'll catch you next time.